The Harley's engine died with a final cough in the parking lot of the Iron Ridge Community Center, and Marcus Webb sat there in the sudden silence, his hands still gripping the worn rubber of the handlebars. 47 years old, 23 of them spent with the Scorpions MC, and here he was at a Wednesday night AA meeting in a town he'd terrorized a decade ago. The irony wasn't lost on him. Through the building's lit windows, he could see people arranging folding chairs in a circle. Normal people, people with jobs and mortgages and kids in soccer leagues, people who'd never done 3 years in Pelican Bay for aggravated assault, people who didn't wake up at 3 a.m. still feeling phantom pain where their club patch used to be before they had burned it themselves. Marcus had spent 2 months working up the courage to come here, 2 months sober, white-knuckling it through every hour, surviving on gas station coffee and the kind of self-loathing that made you understand why some people just didn't make it. His sponsor, a retired trucker named Phil, who somehow saw past the prison ink and the scar tissue, had told him it would get easier. Phil was a liar, but a well-meaning one. The community center door opened and a woman stepped out, maybe 50, with steel gray hair and the weathered face of someone who'd seen some miles herself. She lit a cigarette, spotted Marcus on his bike, and didn't look away, didn't flinch, just studied him with the cool assessment of someone who'd learned to read people quickly. "You coming in or you gonna sit out here all night?" she called. "Still deciding," Marcus said. "Fair enough." She took a drag. "I'm Linda. I run the meeting." "Marcus? I know who you are." She said it without hostility, just stating a fact. "You put my nephew in the hospital back in 2015, Tommy Reeves, bar fight at Harrigan's." Marcus's stomach dropped. He remembered it too well. The kid had looked at him wrong. Or maybe Marcus had just been looking for an excuse that night. 3 broken ribs and a shattered orbital bone. The kind of violence that felt good in the moment and poisoned everything after. "I'm sorry," Marcus said, and meant it, though the words felt inadequate. "Is he?" "He's fine. Lives in Tucson now. Works construction. Got sober himself about 5 years ago." Linda flicked ash. "He's the one who told me you might show up here eventually. Said he heard you'd gotten out and were trying to clean up. Small towns." "Yeah." She smiled slightly. "Look, I'm not going to lie and say everyone in there is going to be thrilled to see you. You and your club did a lot of damage around here. But this is a meeting, not a grudge committee. You want to get sober? You're welcome. You want to make things right? That's harder, but the door's open either way." Marcus looked at his bike, then back at the building. Inside, someone laughed. Genuine laughter. The kind he hadn't heard in his own voice in years. "What if I don't deserve it?" he asked quietly. Linda stubbed out her cigarette. "Honey, none of us deserve it. That's not how it works. You want to deserve it? That comes after. First you just have to walk through the door." She went back inside, leaving him alone with his thoughts and the cooling engine tick of his Harley. Marcus thought about the Scorpions, about his brothers, ex-brothers now, about the parties and the runs and the sense of belonging to something bigger than himself. He thought about the violence too, the way it had felt like power until it started feeling like a cage. He thought about the night he'd beaten a man half to death outside a bar, not because the man had done anything, but because Marcus could, because that's what Scorpions did. He thought about sitting in his cell at Pelican Bay, listening to his mother's voice on the phone telling him she was sick. Ovarian cancer, stage 4. He thought about her dying while he was inside, about missing the funeral, about the letter she'd left him that the chaplain had delivered 3 days after she was in the ground. "Marcus, baby, I don't know who you became, but I know who you were. That little boy who cried when we hit a deer on Route 9, who brought home every stray cat in the neighborhood, who told me he wanted to be a firefighter and save people. He's still in there somewhere. Find him for me. Please find him." He'd read that letter maybe 500 times. It was in his wallet right now, folded into a square so small and worn the creases were starting to split. Marcus got off the bike. His legs felt unsteady, but he walked anyway, one foot in front of the other, toward the door with the light spilling out of it. Inside, he could hear Linda starting the meeting, asking everyone to take their seats. The door was heavier than it looked. He pulled it open anyway. The room went quiet when he walked in, not hostile, just surprised. 12 people in folding chairs arranged in a circle, and one empty seat that suddenly felt like it was 1,000 miles away. Linda nodded at him from across the room. "Everyone, this is Marcus. He's joining us tonight." A few nods, a couple of wary looks. One man, maybe 60, with a veteran's cap and the solid build of someone who'd worked with his hands his whole life, met Marcus's eyes and gave a small, deliberate nod. Not forgiveness, not acceptance. Just acknowledgement. Marcus took the empty seat. "Hi," he said, and his voice came out rougher than he intended. "I'm Marcus, and I'm an alcoholic." "Hi, Marcus," they said back, and in that moment, in that small room, in a town where people had every reason to hate him, something shifted. Not redemption. He wasn't naive enough to think it would be that easy, but maybe the beginning of a road that led there. Linda smiled. "Welcome, let's begin." 6 months later, Marcus was installing a wheelchair ramp at old Mrs. Patterson's house on Maple Street when the prospect showed up. He heard the bike before he saw it. A Dyna, with that distinctive scorpion rumble. Marcus didn't look up from his work, just kept screwing in the support bracket, but his hands had gone tense on the drill, the engine cut. Footsteps on gravel. "Yo, Marcus. Been looking for you." Marcus recognized the voice. Tyler, one of the younger guys. Barely 25, still had that hungry look they all got when they first patched in. Like they'd found religion and it wore leather. "I'm working, Tyler." "Yeah, I can see that. Real heartwarming, man. What are you, a fucking Boy Scout now?" Marcus set down the drill and stood, wiping sawdust off his hands. Tyler looked the same. Club vest, prison ink crawling up his neck, that coiled energy of someone always half a second from violence. Marcus had looked exactly like that once. Now, looking at Tyler, all he saw was a kid playing a game he didn't understand yet. "What do you want?" "Hammer wants to talk. Says it's time you stop this rehab bullshit and came home." "I am home," Tyler laughed. This is home? Building ramps for old ladies? Going to meetings with a bunch of losers? Come on, man. You're Scorpion. That doesn't just go away." "No," Marcus agreed. "It doesn't. I think about it every day. Every single day I think about how easy it would be to just say fuck it and come back. But I'm not going to." "Why not?" It was a genuine question, Marcus realized. Tyler really didn't understand. "Because I was killing myself," Marcus said. "Slowly, one beer and one fight at a time. And I was killing other people too. Not always literally, but close enough. You'll figure it out eventually, or you won't. But either way, I'm done." Tyler's jaw worked. "Hammer's not going to like that. Hammer can go to hell. You know I can't go back and tell him that? Then don't tell him anything." Marcus picked up his drill again. "Tell him you couldn't find me. Tell him I left town. I don't care. But I'm not coming back, and if he sends someone else, the answer's going to be the same." For a long moment, Tyler just stood there, and Marcus wondered if this was it. If the kid was going to make a play, try to drag him back or beat some sense into him. But Tyler just shook his head. "You've changed, man. I don't even recognize you." "Good," Marcus said, and meant it. Tyler left. The Dyna's engine roared to life and faded into the distance, and Marcus went back to building the ramp. His hands were shaking slightly, adrenaline and fear and relief all mixed together, but he kept working. Mrs. Patterson came out half an hour later with a glass of lemonade, and that look old ladies get when they know something's happened, but they're not going to pry. "Everything all right, dear?" "Yeah," Marcus said, accepting the lemonade. "Everything's fine." That night at the meeting, he told them about Tyler's visit, about how scared he'd been, how close he'd come to just giving in, because giving in would be so much easier than this constant grinding effort to be someone different. "But I didn't," he said. "I don't know if that makes me strong or just stubborn, but I didn't." The veteran in the cap, Bill, Marcus had learned his name was, spoke up. "Stubborn's fine. Stubborn works. Some days that's all you got." Linda nodded. "Anyone else ever feel like that? Like it's just easier to go back?" Hands went up around the circle, more than Marcus expected. After the meeting, Bill caught up with him in the parking lot. "That thing you said about killing people, not always literally. I felt that. Did 2 tours in Iraq, came home with a bottle and a temper. Lost my wife, my kids wouldn't talk to me for years. Sometimes I think about the man I used to be, and I don't even recognize him." "How'd you find your way back?" Marcus asked. "One day at a time, and a lot of help." Bill held out his hand. "You're doing good, son. Keep at it." They shook, and Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride, maybe. or just the absence of shame. Either way, it was something. A year and a half sober, Marcus had a job now, working construction for a contractor who'd given him a chance despite the record. He had an apartment, small, clean, his own. He had people who called him friend, even if some of them did it cautiously. He had routines and responsibilities and a reason to get up in the morning that didn't involve hangovers or violence. He also had Tommy Reeves standing on his doorstep on a Saturday morning, looking nervous. "Hey," Tommy said. Linda gave me your address. Hope that's okay." Marcus's first instinct was to apologize again, but Tommy held up a hand. "I didn't come here for that. I mean, I appreciate what you said at the meeting. Linda told me about it, but that's not why I'm here." Tommy shifted his weight. "I'm getting married in 3 months, in Tucson. And I'm trying to do this thing where I tie up loose ends, you know? Make peace with stuff." "Okay. The thing is, for a long time I hated you. Like, really hated you. Used to fantasize about running into you and what I'd do. But then I got sober, and I realized the hate's just another kind of poison, right? So I'm here to tell you I forgive you. Not because you deserve it or don't deserve it, but because I need to let it go." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Thank you. That means more than you know." "Yeah, well," Tommy smiled slightly. "There's more. I want you to come to the wedding." "What?" "I know it's weird. My fiancé thinks I'm crazy. But here's the thing. You're part of my story, man. The bad part, yeah, but also the part that led me to getting sober, which led me to meeting Elena, which led me to this whole life I have now. And I don't want to pretend that didn't happen. I want to own it." Marcus didn't know what to say. This felt impossible. Too generous, like a gift he couldn't possibly accept. I'm not asking you to make a speech or anything. Just show up. Let me prove to myself that I really have let it go. Can you do that?" In the end, Marcus said, yes. 3 months later, he drove his truck. He'd sold the Harley, bought something practical, 8 hours to Tucson. The wedding was small, maybe 50 people, in a garden behind a restaurant. Marcus sat in the back, wearing a suit he'd bought at Goodwill and felt absurd in, and watched Tommy marry a woman who looked at him like he hung the moon. During the reception, Tommy found him. "You came. Said I would." "Yeah, but I half thought you'd bail." Tommy glanced around, then back at Marcus. "Listen, there's someone I want you to meet." He led Marcus over to a table where an older couple sat. Tommy's parents, Marcus realized, with a jolt of recognition. He'd seen them at the hospital that night, 13 years ago. The father had wanted to press charges. The mother had cried, "Mom, Dad, this is Marcus Webb." The father's jaw tightened. The mother went very still. Marcus wanted to run. "I know this is weird," Tommy continued, "but he's the guy I told you about, the one from that night. He's been sober about 2 years now, doing real good work back in Iron Ridge." Silence. Then Tommy's father stood. He was shorter than Marcus, probably 70, but he had that iron look of men from a different generation. "My son says you've changed." "I'm trying to," Marcus said. "Trying's not the same as doing." "No, sir, it's not." Tommy's father studied him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he held out his hand. "Tom Reeves." Marcus shook it, feeling the strength still in that grip. "I'm not going to tell you I'm happy to see you," Tom said, "and I'm not going to pretend what you did was okay. But my son seems to think you deserve a chance, and I trust his judgment. So I'll say this once, welcome, and don't make me regret it." "I won't," Marcus promised. Tommy's mother didn't shake his hand, but she nodded. It was enough. Later, driving back to Iron Ridge through the desert night, Marcus thought about redemption, about whether it was even possible to truly make up for the harm you'd caused. He didn't have an answer. Maybe there wasn't one. Maybe you just kept trying, kept showing up, kept being better than you were yesterday, and hoped that eventually it added up to something. His phone buzzed, a text from Linda. "How'd it go?" "Good," he typed back, "really good." Her response came quick. "Proud of you. See you Wednesday." Wouldn't miss it. Marcus drove on through the darkness, heading home to a life he was still building, one day at a time. In the rearview mirror, Tucson's lights faded. Ahead, the road stretched empty and full of possibility. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in longer than he could remember, he wasn't afraid to find out.